The latest rage is shooting with DSLR, and one of the things that these cameras can give you is amazing lenses and real wide-angle lenses. And sometimes we need to remove that distortion. And I'm going to show you an application you might not have thought of to do that in, and that's Photoshop CS5 Extended. All right, let's go have a look. Here's our video clip, and if I go to the Window menu and choose Animation, I'll bring up my timeline, and you can see this isn't a still, it's actually a video. And the first part is a little bit blurry, so I want to take that out. I'm not interested in working with that. So if you see this little handle down here and drag it over, it's going to allow me to trim that area. So I'm not really interested in fixing that. The little flyout menu on the right allows me to trim the document duration to the work area. Click and boom. So now we've removed that. And next up is to remove the lens distortion. And you might think of just running up here to the filter menu and grabbing lens correction, but that will only work for one single frame. One tip, always have to convert this to a smart object, a video, before you apply a filter. That way the filter will work on the whole file. How do you do that? Over here is our layer where the movie is, and I just right click and choose Convert to Smart Object. Boom. You don't see any difference. We just basically embedded a video file inside a Photoshop file. And how did I get that Photoshop file as a video? Well, File, Open. And we open a number of different video files directly into Photoshop. So now that I have that selected, if I choose Filter, Lens Correction, it's going to open up the Lens Correction dialog box. And from here, we're able to see exactly what's going on. So we don't have any information inside here for a profile. So on the top right, when I choose Custom, this is where I can choose all the settings and correct this lens distortion. I can also take this video and straighten it. So we've got a tool over here in the top left-hand corner, the Straighten tool, and you just simply draw a line across the horizon. And what I think is interesting about this is when I drag this in, you'll notice the video straightens up, but it also scales. If you've ever straightened a photo inside Photoshop, you know that when you rotate it, you end up with these edges, and you normally will have to fill those in, clone them, or scale the image. And the lens correction is doing that right away for you. As soon as you choose a better horizon, it's going to enlarge it so you don't have those edges. Let's go look at the tools on the right-hand side. First of all, we can remove the distortion, or if you wanted to add an effect, you could increase the distortion here. I'm just going to remove some of that distortion by dragging that back. If we were introducing some vignetting, sometimes lenses have these little dark edges. You could lighten that area, and you can see when you drag this up, it lightens it. Or if you wanted to add the effect, you could increase that amount inside here. And the midpoint is telling you where that the main point of that gradient takes place. So when it's in the middle, it's going to be a 0 to 100, and sometimes those vignettes are really dark near the edge and then they slowly fade out. Or sometimes they take a long time to fade out, and that's what the midpoint is. We can also transform this, the horizontal and vertical perspective. This is like you're taking the image and you're tilting it forward or you're tilting it back. Sometimes when you're taking a shot from a low angle, things are tilted away from you and you could actually bring them forward. There really is no hard and fast rules here. It's up to you on how you want to affect this image. And you can see the angle in here that has already been calculated with the Straighten tool. When I drag that across, it calculated that as 8.43 degrees. Oh, wonderful. And we can also scale this up and scale this down. There's a grid down here. We can show the grid if we want to help us line things up. Maybe you've got a building edge inside there and you need to rotate and remove that, and you're ready to go. So once I click OK, you'll notice on the right-hand side, it says Smart Filters, Lens Correction. And when I click on the eyeball and turn this off, I'm turning the effect on and I'm turning the effect off. If you double click on the right-hand side here, then you'll actually open this effect up. So this is completely non-destructive. I love that part of it. You can open this up, make as many changes as you want, and whenever you're ready, you get to export it out. So we have a Photoshop file that really is linked to the movie file. It's really important that you don't throw away this movie file. This is not a movie in a PSD. I mean, it looks like it, but this Photoshop file requires you to keep the movie with it. So if you need to hand this off to someone, you got to give them 2 files. If you want to give them a movie, then in the file, export and render this video, and that's what most people would do at this point. Click Render Video, and any of the codecs that I happen to have installed on my system I can use. So if I'm going out to any of these, MPEG-4, QuickTime, whatever, and when I click on my settings, I get all the settings that I have normally inside here. And if you're on Windows, then you'd get some Windows media formats in there in addition. You can also go out as an image sequence, and we could take this out as a really high resolution TARGIF or TIFF file, remove the compression. So if you wanted the biggest, best format of this, you've got it in here, or web format. This is the same render video output that we have from a number of different Adobe applications. So then we hand this off to someone else. One little tip about this PSD, if you're working in After Effects or Premiere Pro, which understands Photoshop files, it doesn't understand a video file inside here with this layer on here. So you're going to have to render this out and then drop it into Premiere Pro or After Effects. But that's how to use Photoshop CS5 Extended to reduce the distortion from lenses created by these awesome cameras. I've got some shooting to do.